So looking sort of further into the future, like as beyond sort of like the next few decades or whatever. So what does this kind of like mean for the future of humanity? So obviously like Elon's big dream is to, and it's the whole reason for SpaceX to exist, and is to enable people to colonize Mars, basically. So to get people on Mars by like the hundreds or thousands.
Yeah.
Not just one or two people to explore, but like a city load of people.
Yeah, like he says he wants to live on Earth, be born on Earth, and die on Mars.
Yeah.
He says that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like, which it definitely would.
That's cool, definitely cool.
As long as you die from old age, not from like some horrendous like accident.
He said not. I think he said something like not, at least not at the point of impact.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like
or
radiation
from like explosive
sickness.
decompression or something like that.
Yeah, something horrific.
In like a nice sort of like domed garden in like a crater on Mars, like sort of bouncing through the reduced gravity, and I don't know, playing with your Mars dogs, and I don't fuck knows.
As you do in old age on Earth.
Yeah.
But with like a spacesuit on.
Yeah.
Will it be what does this mean to the future? So obviously this is like hugely important for the Mars colonial transporter.
Yeah, I mean it's crucial to it. Yeah.
The whole thing getting back and forward to Mars.
Yeah.
Is predicated on the fact that you can basically have rockets coming up and down at Earth and Mars that don't cost much. Basically, you just refuel them. They're constantly going up and down. And then in orbit, you have your colonial transporter that just orbits Earth and Mars.
Yeah.
And presumably is refurbished somehow. Presumably.
I mean, nobody really knows what this the architecture is going to be for getting people back and forth from Mars in SpaceX's kind of design.
Well, yeah. I mean,
it might be that it's a beast like spacecraft that gets launched from Earth and lands on Mars. It might not be like a shuttle thing that's constantly
that was their original
flipping back and forth. I mean, most people like space agencies like NASA and stuff talk about like having a sort of like a mobile ISS type thing that's like traveling back and forth.
Yeah.
But SpaceX haven't let anyone know what their plans are, so it's all speculation.
Right.
And like people, like, there's all this stuff about them building like a fucking massive rocket, which I think is actually referred as the big fucking rocket, or the BFR.
It was called the Falcon X originally, wasn't it?
Yeah, that rings a bell. Yeah, I think so. Falcon X.
Raptor,
Falcon X Heavy.
The Raptor engines.
Yeah.
Which are these big like methane.
Yeah, that's it.
Cooking engines.
And there's going to be a shitload of them on this thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
absolutely massive.
Absolute monster.
Yeah.
So that suggests that they are going to be launching a giant spacecraft rather than like building something in orbit and having it like.
Well, so the other thing then, if you think about the colonial transporter, is that of course they're going to, if you did have Falcon 9's type rockets, that meet this sort of ISS type thing that floats from between Mars and Earth, you're going to have Falcon 9's on Mars.
Yeah. So maybe
get refurbished, etc., etc.
Yeah. So maybe what's going to happen is that you have like this.
You can't have that at the start. You've got to build something that can deliver stuff to start with.
Yes, but what if you don't have this like ISS type thing ferrying people back and forth, and what you actually have is just like a giant like spacecraft on the front of a huge rocket. The spacecraft, the rocket launches the thing, separates, the giant first stage comes back, lands on Earth. The other like part of the spacecraft goes to Mars, propulsively lands on Mars.
Yeah. And
then eventually like takes off again, refuels itself somehow using stuff that's there.
Yeah.
Takes off again and flies back to Earth, propulsively lands on Earth. So there's no like ferry thing going back and forth.
So just the whole thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to imagine like Elon sort of thinks outside, SpaceX sort of think outside the box in these ways, don't they? And they seem to make suggestions like, why don't we just fucking land the whole rocket propulsively? And everyone's like, what? That's mental. Use parachutes. And now they've done it, and like it's cheaper and better.
But I don't know. I don't know. It's just like you never have single stage to orbit rockets. They don't seem to scale that way, do they?
Sure, that's very true. Maybe on Mars. Maybe on Mars it's different.
Well, you've got less gravity to escape and less atmosphere to get through.
That is a very good point, though.
But having said that, that doesn't still mean that you couldn't have like a giant booster that gets
on Mars as well.
No. You don't need that. So you have a like a 3-stack rocket or whatever.
Yeah.
No, a 2-stack rocket. So it go up. The main stage will drop off once it's got to a certain speed in Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah.
Gets out of Earth's atmosphere into orbit, sends its way onto Mars, and one of the stages falls off at that point, lands back on Earth. The second stage takes it to Mars. It lands propulsively on Mars, refuels, and then it doesn't have to. It can do a single stage to orbit back to Earth on Mars because there's less gravity and less atmosphere. If you see what I mean. So you only need that like one giant rocket part to escape the Earth's atmosphere and Earth's gravity. On Mars, it's easier, so you don't have to have that. It's easier to do a single stage to orbit.
Possibly.
I'm talking shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's possibly true. I don't know enough about like the mechanics of it.
No idea.
I mean, you could probably work it out relatively simply. I don't know.
But whatever happens, reusability is going to be a huge part.
Absolutely,
of making
on both, possibly on both ends, or definitely on both ends.
Definitely on both ends.
Yeah, definitely.
To make it affordable, and they're planning to make it. What was the cost? Like 200 grand was
500,000.
500,000 per person.
That's his goal.
Which
to Mars,
which is nuts, and that's at the start. They were saying.
Yeah.
So to do that, obviously, you have to have a huge component of reusability. You can't be rebuilding stuff. You just refuel. And eventually, the idea is obviously to get it much cheaper than that.
Yeah. How much did the Curiosity rover cost? 2 billion.
2 billion, yeah.
2 billion. So you could take 4 people for that cost, and all the life support you'd need for them.
It was 2 billion.
2 billion. Jesus Christ. Okay, that's
nowhere near
blown
that.
my mind.
Yeah. It's absolutely insane.
That is insane. Yeah.
But we'll get more about this.
You could take thousands of people for the cost of the Curiosity rover. Like thousands.
Yeah.
5, 4. What am I on about? Jesus Christ.
But I mean, if that happens, if it's that, I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah, it's just insane. But it's his goal. It's what he wants to do. But anyway, we're going to be this year, possibly soon in this year, early part of this year, I think, will be. Yeah. They'll be delivering this what they call the architecture, the Mars Colonial Transporter, which is like what we've just been speculating about. So the design of this thing, and we'll be doing a video about it.
Hell yeah, we will.
So all of these questions we just had will be answered, at least
some of them anyway.
Yeah, in theory.
So there's obviously other things it's going to have effects on, right? So not just getting to Mars, these reusable rockets. Obviously, like things like mining, space tourism, like anything where the not just getting satellites in there, but if you think, for example, mining in space, which always seems like kind of a far-flung idea, if you can get a rocket up for a few million or whatever it costs, 5 million, and get back down a load of like I don't know, more than get back like 50 million's worth of platinum or something. Yeah. Then that suddenly is a potentially real thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
How much?
Actually, I mean, you can see like a whole new generation of industry just sort of springing up. Once obviously there's different like other levels to it. Like how do you like get like asteroids and like mine them and stuff, or like get to like raw materials in space, like capture an asteroid or whatever, get it somewhere that's easy to get to. But that's stuff that we'll figure out like as access to space is so much cheaper, like these things will get figured out, and there's suddenly going to be like a massive commercial benefit to doing it, and there's going to be another race probably of like essentially mining companies. That's crazy.
We're going to build
it's the future. It's crazy.
They're going to build kind of, autonomous vehicles that are going to go out and do these sorts of things. You could have like an entire mining chain autonomously mining an asteroid.
Yeah. Or multiple asteroids.
And also, you would have people who go, like people go and live on oil rigs.
Yeah.
You can't live on an asteroid. Live off world.
Live off world.
The off-worlders.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah.
And all because of reusability. That's possible.
Yeah, because you'd be constantly ferrying back, like, you'd be ferrying equipment up and people up possibly, and bringing back all the raw materials and or for processing on Earth.
I mean, people spend, more than millions on setting up mines now, and oil and things like that.
Yeah. It's potentially, like, unbelievably lucrative thing to do. So... Yeah, again,
it seems I always thought that was kind of a thing that maybe it wouldn't happen.
It's the kind of thing that happens like it's just in like sci-fi novels.
Like, is it ever really going to be like economical? But that kind of price, maybe.
Especially if you're launching like massive, like rockets like the Falcon Heavy and stuff that's bigger than that, and you can take real heavy machinery and you can bring back lots of raw material at once.
Well, that's an interesting question. Is what they would have to design something to re-enter the Earth's atmosphere that could land propulsively with like a shit ton of very heavy metals.
Maybe something like the Mars Colonial Transporter will do that though, because that's
just a dual purpose thing.
Yeah, or something that's based on that kind of design, because that's meant to be landing 100 tons of payload on Mars.
Yeah,
which is on Mars, which is obviously different as we've just been talking.
But you might be able to apply the same technology. Maybe.
Yeah. What's the hard part there? The hard part is slowing down from orbital velocity.
Yeah.
Like
with something that heavy and then landing. Yeah. I mean,
landing it. I mean, presumably you just scale up the forces involved in landing the Falcon 9 first stage. Like you just have bigger engines.
If they scale logarithmic, if they scale just like linearly, then you'll be all right.
Yeah.
If there's horrible exponential increases in stress in certain areas or whatever, then it might be harder. Or heat.
I'm pretty sure they want to land like the bigger boosters, like even like the Falcon X and that kind of stuff, like the big fucking rocket.
I think the plan is to do that, and therefore they must have reason to believe that it's okay. Yeah, worked it all out, done the math.
Yeah. But yeah, certainly like a whole new industry that doesn't exist at the moment. Potentially, I mean, in our lifetimes we could be seeing this, Yeah,
and space tourism as well. I mean, we talked about mining, but like. Blue Origin have already kind of started to. That's primarily what that thing's objective is.
Yeah,
is to ferry people up to low Earth, not to low Earth orbit, just into space and back.
Yeah, but
potentially you could have hotels that have people being ferried back and forward. I mean, that's you can see the economics of mining, because there's a huge amount of money you can make back potentially from mining very valuable metals and things from asteroids.
Yeah.
But in terms of space tourism, that's very expensive.
Yeah.
But we're thinking Falcon 9 that you wouldn't need a Falcon 9 necessarily, would you? You use it to bring people to the ISS, so you would probably.
If you have like a platform in orbit that's like a hotel, like a hotel, or some kind of like tourism thing that people can go and stay on for a few days.
Yeah.
I mean, the hotel sounds weird, but you know what I mean, like sort of like the ISS, but like
a
bit nicer.
Yeah.
For tourists.
Yeah, a luxury ISS.
With these big windows.
Yeah.
Big fuck off windows.
Yeah. And a shower.
Yeah. And like maybe you could do spacewalks and stuff.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, so people would obviously
you do like a scuba license. You get like a paddy or whatever. Like
your open space badge.
Open space badge.
And your advanced open space badge.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
People would obviously pay a lot of money and have done to go into space.
Yeah.
The ISS. Hang on a minute. The guy who went to the ISS the first guy paid about 20 million, and the most recent one I think paid about 40 or 35 or something like that. I thought a
seat on the Soyuz cost like 60 or something.
I think that's how much the tourists paid. The last one was in like 2009 or something, so it may have gone up again. But obviously you're splitting that cost. So the Falcon 9, say it costs 5 million. You're splitting that cost potentially between like 6 people, depending on how many people can go in it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's going to be like under $1 million to go and live in space for 30 days.
Yeah.
Which is obviously like way more affordable. But it's not. That's not a mainstream thing.
No,
people aren't just going to be paying that.
And I don't think SpaceX will be doing it really.
You don't think they'll ever bother with that?
They might.
The Colonial Transporter is tourism, essentially.
Kind of.
And it is and it isn't. I mean, it is.
It's
much more pioneering than that. But,
yeah.
But it's not dissimilar in principle.
I guess if they have like
they're charging $500,000 for a trip to Mars.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, they're not going to be charging more than that just to go to Earth orbit.
Yeah. But maybe that's more in the near term than the long term, though. But cost aside, I mean, if we get to the point where SpaceX are taking people like by the 100 at a time to Mars, then like there's going to be people in orbit all the time, like fucking flying about. There's going to be all kinds of stuff like that happening.
Just flying about.
So if we're bringing it back a little bit, like probably sooner in time, I can't. Space tourism, I think, is going to be really big and a really cool way for like people in the next sort of couple of decades or whatever to start accessing space that never could before.
Yeah, I definitely hope in my lifetime I'm going to be able to do that.
I hope we can record a episode from space.
Oh my God.
That's going to happen.
That's just so cool.
Even if it's like a 4-minute episode on a Blue Origin rocket
that we've basically broken our banks for.
Yeah,
worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
# worth it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think.
Oh my God! Imagine that.
Yeah.
Recording it. Oh, that's so cool.
Just like a reaction vid, like floating around like maniacs.
No, I better start Better start eating more healthy and stuff.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just need to start saving some money.
Yeah.
Some cash money.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I can see companies like Blue Origin and stuff they being the ones that sort of pioneer the tourism more, and like SpaceX maybe sticking to the commercial stuff and its like vision. That being said, if there's a fleet of like reusable Falcon 9s like flying all over the place all the time, then probably you will end up having people hitch rides on them to get to little space platforms to have fun for a week or whatever, or I don't know.
I mean, maybe you could have trips that go up for mining that are essentially empty.
Yeah.
No, that's bollocks. You just
Why
would
they be empty? Oh, to take up some container to bring back stuff.
Yeah, you might not need so much kind of space going up as you need coming down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
potentially. You'd think they obviously bring up a lot of machinery and things and trying to make that as efficient as possible, personnel changes, these types of things. But maybe there's some sort of symbiotic relationship that could happen there. I don't know. But it's definitely a very highly exciting future.
Yes. And 3 weeks ago, like, it just seemed like a dream, and now that we have that landing, it's definitely possible to put something in orbit and
we've
land
had two this year.
Stage.
One obviously, slightly different, but two.
Two. They're going to come in quick succession now.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So that's all pretty fucking exciting.
Welcome to the future.